This is from the Tuesday 5 p.m. social media program. So I'm going to show you the video that I'm going to show. And if you're trying to find me, that's where you'll find me, right there. Just look for that name. It's in Facebook. So I want you to listen to this I want you to listen to what I read on Tuesday evening. Listen to this. I'm going to throw something out there before I do my final piece for my program. I want to throw out some 12 Visions Party information to you. Okay? First off, you heard me bring up a bunch of dirt on the 12 Visions Party as of late. And I'll be honest with you, they can't even get 300 members in the Neil Think Society to back up the 12 Visions Party right now. That's how bad it is. 300 of its own members of the Neil Think Society will not back the 12 Visions Party up right now. And right now, if they were to even try, their numbers would be very low. And their success, hardly none at all. And really, I say 300. I think the base number for the 12 Visions Party is over 300. Committed Neil Think members dedicated to the 12 Visions Party. Over 300 members have to be part of that program. I think there's other work that needs to be done. Accountability of the 12 Visions Party needs to be done as well. There's no accountability. And right now, the question is, can you trust whoever is put in charge of the 12 Visions Party? Can you trust who's in charge of the Neil Think Society right now? His name is Charlie Moore. Can you really trust this guy? Can you? So, those are a couple of things I want to ask. I'll put out there. Now, let me talk about, I just wanted to throw a little bit of 12 Visions Party out there. May 6th, the 12 Visions Party night, Wednesday night, 9 o'clock p.m., May 6th. I am going to be doing something very special that night. So I'm not going to let you hear that. I'm going to, this is a unique program. So I'm going to pull you away from it. So hold on. So this is a advertisement for what I'm going to do on May 6th, which I'm not going to let you guys hear. I'm going to block it out. So I'm just going to let you guys know, this is Big V. It's Friday. It is the 17th of April of 2020. So I'll let you guys go. We're going to go back and listen to this program. And just to let you know, future warning, that this will be played on my future broadcast on the program that you're listening to, or during the summit that I'm going to have in May. So here we go. Listen in to the information. It's going to be a very unique clubhouse meeting that we're going to have, Super Clubhouse. We're going to have the most unique clubhouse meeting ever. It's going to be different, but I think it will be of value to all of you. The 2 late night shows that we're doing on April 18th and April 23rd, one Saturday night, 10 p.m. The other one is on a Thursday night at 11 p.m., and that is Pacific time. So if you're on the East Coast, that is really late on your side, but come back and listen to the replay over the weekend. or over Sunday and all that stuff. But remember, tomorrow, April 15th, no shows. I will not be here. That's why we're doing both programs tonight. The NeoThink Prime Time show was a surprise. It was a last-minute decision. All right. My main portion of this show, and I know this NeoThink mini show is a little different than what you guys are accustomed. You guys are used to me playing a clip. Well, I'm not going to play no clip in this part of the program. You have to tune in at 7 p.m. to find out if there's going to be what kind of show we're going to do in the primetime show and what type of information that I'm not giving you in this program that I'll give in the next program. So you got to tune in for that. I'm going to read something out of the Miss Annabelle story today. And no, it's not about the life charts. I'm going to read out of this book today for the final part of my program. With everything going on, I think this story will tell a lot. I read it this morning, and it was fitly. It fits in today's world. Really, it does fit in. It was a word from the universe to every individual if they take heart and listen and take heed to what I'm about to read. Now, let me give you a little background. This is the Miss Annabelle story. Miss Annabelle's in prison right now. Okay? She's in prison not because she did a crime. She's in prison because of political reasons. Her and her lover are in prison for political reasons. Not because any crime was committed. But they're in prison. Two innocent people in prison right now in this book. She meets a friend in prison, Miss Annabelle does. Her name is Megan. Today, I want to say, we are in a coronavirus. Stay-home orders are ordered all over the country right now. Some are very strict. Quarantine is being placed all over the country right now. New York, California, Oregon is kind of a light stay-home order thing. It's not very strong. So what I want to say is I want you to sit back. I want you to listen to this one little, it's a little lengthy, but I think it's well worth taking time to read it here today. I want you to sit back and I want you to picture yourself in prison today. I want you to picture yourself being in prison. I want you the viewer, to be Miss Annabelle right now. I'm going to be Megan. Now, what do I mean? Sit back and picture yourself being in prison. Well, a lot of us are not in prison. We have our freedom. But there's thousands upon millions of people mentally, they are in prison. No jobs to go to, no money coming in, and they don't know what to do. And credit card bills are due, electricity is due, rent is overdue. So they're mentally in prison. Some of you stressed out. Well, I want you to hear the wise words of Megan today. It's in this book. I want to read it to you here in just a few minutes. I want you to just get your tea, get your water, get your coffee, get your Pepsi, get your Coke, get your Doritos, get your popcorn, whatever, get settled in. I want you to relax. Breathe. Breathe. This is the most unique, every week, this is the most unique program I do normally on Wednesday mornings. It's the most unique program of all time. You never know what you're going to get week after week. Because I switch it up. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. I'm going to read. Now, understand it's morning time, and they're at breakfast. So let's go ahead and get going with this story. So here we go. Are you ready? I am. Let's get to it. Let's get to work. All right, here we go. This is a Miss Annabelle story. If you have it, it's the Miracle Year. And I'm on. If you have the mini heirloom, it's on page 292. Okay. So here we go. At breakfast, Miss Annabelle sat at a table, unaware that she had not eaten a thing. She was feeling down. She had been in this place for just 4 months, and she had at least 2.5 more years to go. 2.5 more years. That's 7 times longer than I've been in here, she thought. I miss John and I miss my students. I just miss them so much. Merry Christmas, Anna, a cheerful voice said. Miss Annabelle looked up to see one of her roommates, Megan, sitting down next to her. You haven't touched your food, sweetie. You feel okay? Oh, yes. I am just... Well, Miss Annabelle paused, not sure what to say. Holidays in here are hard. Megan's voice had so much compassion that Miss Annabelle's eyes involuntarily filled with tears. Megan saw the reaction and said, "Oh, honey, come here, Megan." Put her fork down and reached around and hugged Miss Annabelle. Megan had become a genuine friend. She was a sincere person, 40 years old, and a pillar of positivity. Miss Annabelle really enjoyed Megan's sense of life. It's going to be so long before I see John again and my students, Miss Annabelle said, her voice shaking. Megan hugged her tighter. In here, Anna, time goes by so slowly. But I want you to consider something, dear. Out there, time goes by so quickly. In here, I have lots of time to think about what I want out of life. I already know that when I get out, the rest of my life will go by in a blink. Because my time in here, I'll know what I want. I'll go hard after what I want. I'll be focused and not on the aimless journey that ends before it begins. Miss Annabelle sat up to look into Megan's eyes. Her friend had expressed a wisdom that surpassed Miss Annabelle. She looked at her voracious friend who grew up in Rochester, New York, in a blue-collar neighborhood. Megan looked cute with her short blonde hair and her long spit curls that frame her face. As almost always, she wore a beautiful smile. You've turned this negative. Your 5 precious years in here into a positive. I admired that, Megan. Megan smiled, so did Miss Annabelle. You're always so positive and so happy, Miss Annabelle said. Through a tearful chuckle, obviously feeling bitter. What? How? There's really nothing special about it, Megan said. She was not being a flip pant. In fact, she became very serious and said, "Would you like me to tell you how I got this way?" Miss Annabelle nodded and gave her the undivided attention to the story Megan was about to tell. Okay, you're the only one I've told this to. When I was about 15, I fell in love. His name was Joseph, and he was 20 years old, and he landed a good job as an apprentice trained mechanic for the railroad, and 3 months later, I was pregnant. At 16, I had a beautiful baby boy, little Joey. Joseph and I got married at 18. I gave birth to Meg and Peg, our twin daughters. But we weren't like so many teenage marriages. We were really happy, and we stayed happy. He was a hard-working man and worked his way up to the line manager. I was so proud of him. Even though he struggled at first, we were happy. He'd rush home from work to play with his children. Throughout the week, he'd announce to the kids that his day off was family day, and we'd spend the entire day together going on picnics, riding bicycles, going to movies, taking a drive on the shore. When he became a line manager, he had the weekends off, and we'd spend them together as a family. Now and then, Joe would furiously fret about the day our kids moved out, but I think he really kind of meant it. Megan hesitated and looked into Miss Annabelle's gentle eyes, and Megan smiled. But it was a sad smile. You never did see that day when Joey moved out. My sweetheart died. One icy winter evening, on his way back home from work, a van going in the other direction lost control and spun directly into his car. Megan dropped her gaze to the floor. Miss Annabelle had never seen Megan so defeated. She barely could say more, but she continued. I often try to imagine what Joe was thinking about during that last drive home. I know he was excited to see us. He'd always come in through the garage door and yell, "Daddy's home!" The kids would drop whatever they were doing and run to him, and he did that for 17 beautiful years. Miss Annabelle knew what it was like to lose a loved one, suddenly and violently. 11 years before, when she was in her mid-20s, she lost her only sibling, her brother, to a freak boating accident. As Miss Annabelle looked at her friend, she realized that when you lose a loved one, too early death, especially to a violent ending, during that loved one's prime, your inner world of emotions is mercilessly and permanently defeated. You can grow new emotions, but those emotions in you from the past that revolved around your lost loved one are forever defeated. That look of defeat covered Megan's face. I want that to soak in. I want to stop here just for a minute. I want you to realize what this story is saying to you. I want you to think about what I've read up to this point. People lost their jobs. There's even people that lost family members because of the coronavirus. You might be in Megan's position with a look of defeat covered Megan's face. The last part I just read. I want you to think about what I just read. Come back and re-listen to the reading again. I'm going to continue. "I'm so sorry," Miss Annabelle said, her own eyes filling with tears of sorrow for her friend. Megan nodded and tried to smile. She struggled to say Joey, Meg, and Peg. Oh, they were devastated. They got so skinny after their daddy died. They wouldn't eat. Our world orbited around Joe, and then he was gone instantly, forever. Through all our pain, the depression would stood out most in my mind was how fast those 17 years we had together had passed. Those days, 17 years, is considered a marathon marriage. But after the accident, those 17 years seemed like 6 months. They had gone by in a flash. They really had. The kids and I barely managed. 2 years later, Joey moved out. The year after that, Meg and Peg moved into the dormitory of a local college. For the first time in my life, I was alone. It was really hard. I kept living in the past, and I couldn't get out of my head how fast those 17 beautiful years went by. It felt like my life was over now, over so fast. 4 years after Joe died, a year after my girls moved out, I couldn't stand the loneliness. I started dating for the first time. Stanley had worked with Joe. He was a very nice and caring person. He was educated, a college graduate, and he had always been part of the railroad management. I didn't love Stan. I didn't even think I could love again, but I did like him, and he was good to me. So he moved in. It wasn't until after Stan moved in with me that I discovered that he had a cocaine habit. He convinced me that it was only a stimulant for when he was working long hours. He said it did less harm than smoking cigarettes or drinking coffee. He said he'd always used cocaine. I really didn't know anything about it other than what he told me. One night, about a month after Stan moved in, 6 federal agents stormed my home and found his cocaine. Since I knew about it, I was charged with possession and I was sentenced to 11 years. Well, Anna, that was about as much as I could take. I wanted to die and thought about killing myself, but I kept going because I knew what the suicide option would be due to my precious children. Months later passed in here and I didn't smile not once. Then one morning when I woke up, for one beautiful moment, I felt like I was with Joe and the kids again. It was like the first time I felt really good inside since Joe died. Laying in bed that morning before the wake-up call, I smiled for the first time in here. Megan had a hard time getting through her personal story, but now she seemed to gain strength as she remembered that morning. I realized I was letting go. I was telling myself it's okay to let go of those beautiful years, and that my life with Joe was as an everlasting part of me, a permanent place, could visit in my heart whenever I wanted to, just as I was doing that morning. But that afternoon I realized I had lived one life, which included my fairy tale with Joe and my children, and now I had one more life to live again. All afternoon I kept thinking how fast my first life went by in a blink. If I kept frowning, my second life would be over in a blink, and all I would have done was feel miserable. I could either frown or smile. Either way, my life would go by in a flash. But it would be a flash full of frowns or a flash full of smiles. I chose to smile. At first, it took discipline to pursue a positive life. After a while, it came naturally. Now I know that my second life will be over fast, like my first life. So I'm going to make every moment as positive and happy as I can. Suddenly, Megan put forth her hands on Miss Annabelle's shoulders and said, "Anna, people don't know until it's all ending how fast our lives pass by. I know because I've had one life that already ended. Once you know it, then to be less than positive and energetic is such a waste of your one brief moment alive." Miss Annabelle shook her head and managed to say, "I so admire you, Megan." "She doesn't belong here," Miss Annabelle could not stop saying in her thoughts. "Why is this good woman in prison? She's not a criminal. Yet she's being stripped of her anyways from 8 to 11 years of her crime. Again, in here." Miss Annabelle remembered what Rico had told the class. There are many people in prison who are criminals. They committed no real crimes of force. Instead, they violated the sound good vote gathering laws created by politicians. Megan, a beautiful person who would never hurt anyone, violated one of those political policy laws. Miss Annabelle agonized over this. How many Megans are trapped in here? The innocence of Megan's face really moved Miss Annabelle as she heard a voice in her head saying over and over, "I'm so sorry you're in here, Megan." Megan smiled, and she did not know Miss Annabelle was feeling sorry for her. Megan said, "I tell you, Anna, our lives go by in a hurry. When you get out of here, don't waste any time. Don't hesitate to do whatever it is that you're going to bring you happiness. And let yourself make yourself feel it. Figure out your path and then run along it. I already figured out what I'm going to do. Now I just can't wait to get out of here. Just 4 years to go if I can get out early." 4 more years murdered by politicians, Miss Annabelle thought. Megan's attitude lifted Miss Annabelle. "Why frown when I can smile?" Miss Annabelle never forgot those words, and she realized she had a lot to smile about. She was deeply in love, she thought. A lot about the wedding that would happen when she and Mr. Belmore were free again. In fact, she started planning the wedding right from prison, ordering catalogs and brochures. She wanted a wedding and a reception so she and Mr. Belmore could celebrate a special memory with other people they loved. Her student Sally's parents, Teddy's parents, Jesse and Angie, John's family. With both her parents and her brothers gone, Miss Annabelle had no family. Those people she loved and wanted at her wedding had become her family. The wedding had become a symbol of freedom for Miss Annabelle and Mr. Melbourne. Thinking about it kept them both very positive. Miss Annabelle led a busy life in prison. She kept her weekly class going from prison, which made her feel as if she were out there in the free world. She and Megan had become close friends, and every other Saturday on visiting day, Jesse and Angie would visit her for a couple hours, and those visits were like shots of adrenaline. Moreover, Jesse and Angie would visit Mr. Gilmore once a month. Miss Annabelle would get so excited hearing about everything about him and vice versa. Angie and Jesse really enjoyed it too. Miss Annabelle was forever grateful for the value and effort Angie and Jesse gave to her. Her students asked her on the first discussion tape if they could come and visit her. Rico said that they could and told them how. Miss Annabelle's heart melted as she listened to their utopia when they thought they could come to see her. But children were not allowed to visit unless they were related to the inmate or accompanied by a parent or a guardian. So they had to settle for a recorded weekly lecture and a discussion period. which was very rewarding nonetheless. Every night she laid in bed after lights out and thought, with all these wonderful people, the values of my life, why frown when I can smile?